Emotional neglect in childhood occurs when a parent fails to meet their child's emotional needs from a child's young age by being unresponsive, unavailable, and limiting emotional interactions between them and the child. When a child's emotional need for affection, support, attention, or competence are ignored, they experience abandonment, distress, and aloofness due to the absent parents. An emotionally neglectful parent is one who shouts or speaks with a cold and unfriendly tone to a child, is unresponsive or ignores the child's feelings, one who dismisses the child's emotions, spends little time with the child, and makes the child feel like they are unwanted, or they give little positive feedback, praise, and do not express affection or show less positive social interactions. They are also disengaged and uninvolved in the child's life. Lack of interest in the child's activities, persistently finding fault to their child, ignoring the child's cues for help in problem-solving tasks, and offering no encouragement when the child fails a task. Emotional neglect also occurs when the parent or primary caregiver exposes the child to extreme domestic violence or refuses to seek treatment for the child's emotional problem, or instances of maternal deprivation where a child grows without a parent due to the parent being institutionalized or a child being placed in an orphanage. Symptoms of emotional neglect in a child are barely noticeable. Despite individual differences, neglected people tend to show certain behavioral patterns as follows. Difficulty expressing emotions. If you face a difficulty in identifying, expressing, and regulating your emotions, it might be because of childhood emotional neglect. Low self-esteem. Experiencing extended emotional neglect lowers one's self-esteem, impacting a child's ability to feel joy in everyday life. You find it hard to interact with others, establish boundaries, and even be more open with others, as it is difficult to see your worth. Perfectionism. You feel you are not good enough for anything or anyone and strive to maintain a perfect streak that is draining you mentally and emotionally. You strive to be perfect in everything you do, to fill the void of not being seen or appreciated enough as a child. Difficulty setting boundaries. You have difficulty in setting and maintaining healthy boundaries in any form of relationship, leading to issues with assertiveness. Extremely self-reliant. You have a habit of being overly self-reliant and have trouble seeking and accepting help and support from others. You instead try doing things on your own, even when overwhelmed. People-pleasing behavior. You have a constant need of pleasing and ignoring your own needs for others in order to gain validation and approval, leading to people-pleasing behavior. This is because you lacked validation as a child. This can also be because you have a heightened sensitivity to rejection, since rejection is all you have known since childhood. Avoiding conflict. You learn to avoid conflict as a coping mechanism, leading to a difficulty in addressing conflicts. Difficulty trusting others. A classic example of neglect in childhood is difficulty trusting people, as you may have learned to solely rely on yourself during childhood. If you find you or your kids take much longer to trust others, then they may have a deeper-rooted challenge with opening up. You can talk to your kids about their feelings so that they are more accepting of and trusting new people in their lives. Inability to self-discipline. Emotional neglect during childhood can lead to a lack of self-discipline or motivation to do things. If you easily disconnect from your daily routine or work, then it is important to self-assess how your past emotions are affecting your present. Disassociating from affection. Neglected people are normally disconnected or, for some, disgusted with emotional connection. You find that even you become uncomfortable with simple things like hugging or receiving praise because of the sense of neglect in your mind. Significant fear of rejection. While we all have an innate fear of isolation and rejection, individuals who are emotionally neglected may feel it at a higher intensity. This impacts your outlook towards life and taking advantage of opportunities. You feel insecure when left alone and experience bouts of anxiety when seeking opportunities. You fear intimacy as it is challenging for you to form deep emotional connections with others, as you may struggle with trust and vulnerability. Difficult in self-expression. Self-expression may be more difficult for individuals who have experienced neglect. Self-expression can be a key challenge to the point of being emotionally draining for some. You can also experience fear when trying to express your thoughts, thus bottling them up, even when the situation is harming you. Unlike physical neglect or abuse, emotional neglect doesn't have an outward sign, such as bruises or injuries. Being emotionally neglected can be a devastating experience, and experiencing emotional neglect as a child can be just as damaging as abuse. The effects of long-term emotional neglect can manifest in several ways, which is why it is important for parents to be mindful of their parenting styles, as emotional neglect can significantly impair a child's adult life. The critical developmental pathways in the brain that rely on emotional comforting can be impacted as well. If you could relate to most of the symptoms of emotional neglect, seek therapy, as it will help you understand the extent of and effects of neglect, as well as teach you proper coping mechanisms.